Today we're back in Los Angeles, California, and we're reminiscing with a professional wrestler, actor, writer, movie producer, director, parkour specialist, Bowie and Presley's dad, and Taya Valkyrie's husband. He's the mayor of Slamtown, formerly known as John Morrison. He's Johnny TV. And of course, check us out on YouTube, where you'll find the show in its original intended format. I'm Mackenzie Mitchell, and welcome to Threads. Hi!
Finally!
I know.
I've been hearing all about this show.
Thanks. And you guys have had an awesome run with Johnny Loves Taya as well. But
Yeah.
I loved you guys' episode. I've loved seeing that version of you guys. There's been so many versions of Kira and John throughout the years, and I love that. I love where you guys are now, but we got to get into all the stuff
Basically,
from the past.
anytime you get creative autonomy, like you have, right, with Threads, like you get to see something that is more purely authentic to the person making it, which is why I love Threads and why I hope everyone loves Johnny Loves Taya.
Yeah, so from day one, well, maybe not day one, but like from a lot of your time in wrestling, your look has always had a signature jacket. Where did the jacket originate from? Where did that idea come from? And like, take me through that creative process.
Okay, well, most of the people in the business were fans of the business while they were growing up. I mean, when I grew up, I was attracted to larger-than-life characters, showmanship, Macho Man, Ric Flair, Hogan, Warrior, just these big characters, and I always felt like being a pro wrestler meant you get the opportunity to wear the most outlandish, flamboyant, loud outfit possible.
True, though.
And so that's basically like what I started to do. And as my career progressed and I started making more money, I could afford to get more elaborate stuff.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of what happened. There was one time halfway through my WWE run, the first one, where I got told one day by 3 different people that I had to lose the fur coat if I wanted to be champion.
Really?
And I was kind of like,
No.
okay, well,
Yeah.
but like, then what? Like, I just wear like trunks or something and I'm champion? I don't think that's what people want.
But did you think that back in the day that like your
No,
jacket would look like that?
I really didn't. Like, I remember thinking back in the day, I want to look like as cool as possible and different, but I also want to pay homage to like guys that I was a fan of, like Macho Man and Flair, and like guys that were loud, because that's like what I liked to watch.
For sure. Do you have a favorite jacket? I know that's a tough question.
It's a tough one because it's like such an ultimatum. I have a couple. One of them's right there, and they like shift. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, it's got 3 hangers. So let's see. This thing has to be, oh my gosh. John, what in the world? I held Kira's, and these are like, how in the...
So this thing...
Have you weighed this? Have you put this on a scale?
Is about 37 pounds.
37 pounds. So then if you're traveling with this, well, first of all,
It's
how
an
do you
own
travel
checked
with it?
bag.
Do you take this through TSA?
No.
Okay. So
Like,
you then have what?
I checked
13
this.
pounds?
Yeah, like it requires like its own checked bag. This has got faux fur, studs, rhinestones, but also it's got like embedded bigger rhinestones, silver pendants on the back. So it's like full of metal fur studs and shiny things.
That is bizarre.
And it's like floppy. You know what I mean? It's
Right?
not
It's
like
like
a
awkward a little
37-pound dumbbell. It's
Interesting.
just like this big.
So when you were
noodly.
creating this one particularly, did you go like, just make it as big as you can? Just add as much
That
stuff
is
possible.
exactly what I said.
Literally.
I said I want like the best, craziest, most outlandish jacket you can make.
Oh.
I want studs. I want stones. I want like silver pendants. I want everything you can think of.
I spoke to Kira a little bit about the fur. Why did fur stick in your career? Why did you start adding fur to your attire, to your gear?
For the fur, like The original M&M tights, which I'll just show you right now, didn't have fur. Okay. They had denim. We wanted tights that looked like some form of blue jeans. It was designed to be...
I'm going to hold it here. I feel it does have a little denim on it, actual denim.
And even like fake little pockets.
Oh my gosh.
So
they clearly don't function because they have holes in the back, right?
But that was like the idea was to look like pants. And then I went to Melrose, where I sometimes go.
Yeah. On a shopping spree?
Yeah. They happen to have these fur coats on sale for Burning Man. And I was like, ooh, if I buy like 4 of these like Burning Man coats, 2 for me, 2 for Joey, and we wear them with our tights, we'll kind of have like this like original look, because at the time no one else was doing fur at OVW.
You guys were like the ultimate, I feel like, Y2K. Did you know you were putting these looks together and being like, we're gonna try to find this pop culture thing?
We did, actually. That Weezer song, like Beverly Hills.
Yes.
So we were basically in our heads, rich, trust fund, name dropping, annoying LA brat kids. Mm-hmm. And that is the look and aesthetic we were going for, because we were annoying heels.
Right.
So we were trying to be cutting edge, which with the fashion, which to me meant go to Melrose. And so that was the intent.
And were they telling you, like, hey, this is your creative, this is kind of what we're feeling for you guys, or were you just doing it? Were you just developing this look on your own?
We were just doing it back then.
You were?
Yep.
And then you were throwing stuff at the wall to see if it would stick.
And back then also, like, we were doing that, but Julie, the seamstress who was making our coats, who made most of the coats that I liked the best, I started trusting her so much that I would say, I want these colors and I want it to be the coolest coat ever.
And then it just became.
Yeah. And actually, there was one time where I kind of botched it. I wanted a fur coat that was covered in cutting edge technology LED belt buckles. You know, those things they sold at the mall in 2005 for $40. Well, I showed up to an episode of Raw with 100 of them, and I gave them to her. And I said, I want 2 fur coats for MNM with these belt buckles woven in, and I want them to say MNM. and she made them.
And where are they now? Where do they live?
I don't know, but they suck.
Did you wear them out?
Yes.
You wore them out?
We wore them more than once. We wore them for a couple months.
And then, but I'm just curious, did they get tossed in the trash, or were they
No, they're around, but what happens is the batteries die on the things, and each one of those LED belt buckles takes 2 of those little thin wash batteries, and you don't know which one you have to replace.
Yeah.
And so think about 50 belt buckles, that's 100 watch batteries. And when the thing dies, then you have to reprogram it very slowly to go A, B, C, E, F, G, M, boom, N, M, times 50. To add to that, they didn't really look that cool.
Okay.
They weren't as cool as the other coats. Yeah, it was an idea.
Why did you and Joey always match?
I think we just thought that was what tag teams did.
Okay.
We didn't match backstage, but as a team, we felt you know what? When we're competing for the tag team titles or a tag team match, we should wear matching gear.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any special meanings in your gear?
Anytime I have any orange in my gear, or anytime I do the Flavor Glad leg drop or the Flavor Glad taunt, it is for Matt Cappotelli. Mm-hmm. And Matt and I won Tough Enough Season 3 together. These are the tights that I wore with him at OVW when we tagged. We came out to AC/DC TNT. And those colors and Cappotelli are kind of just a reminder to me of always how lucky I am and where I came from, and also that people wind up places and there's sometimes no rhyme or reason. Because I always thought Matt was one of the best people I ever met, had more charisma than me, more charisma than anyone, just naturally, this natural it factor. And he ended up passing of brain cancer a few years back. I remember like we invited him to our wedding and his wife picked up and let me know that he couldn't make it because he was bedridden for the rest of his life, unfortunately. But he had a pretty big effect on me, and thinking about him is a motivating thing for me to realize, like, I need to be the best version of myself for everyone I know. For Taya, for all my friends, for my family, and for him. Because he always was, and his chance got cut short.
So have you had other sets of orange gear, or have you only had this kind of OG gear?
I've had other sets of orange gear. I've had sets of like tape with orange tape. I have orange socks. I have just different pieces. And that stuff I feel like is more for me than the crowd of people. It's like it's a personal reminder.
Your style of pant has tremendously changed throughout the years.
If we go from
these are pre-flare.
These are
like
the
bottom, like bell bottom.
I was wearing kick pads on top of these.
Oh wow.
The very first pair of gear I had made were these.
Oh my gosh.
These I never wore because
these are like cargo pants.
I mean, these are just like indie-rific, I don't know. But I never wore them on TV.
They're like windbreakers.
Yeah.
So you never wore these pants?
No, I got them made and I tried them on and it was kind of like, ooh, yikes. These are kind of like basic, a step up.
This is a John. I feel like this is a John, a beginning of a John pant.
That, I think I wore those against CM Punk in Cincinnati 2007 when I dropped the ECW title.
And you've got like action figures and stuff of these, right?
And you can tell how old these are.
Oh
and they're a different type of fabric. They're like falling apart. But when they're new, like without like the stains and the smudges.
Oh, they are. They're kind of disintegrating.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But
that's really cool.
But these are 20-year-old. Yeah, they're getting everywhere. These are 20-year-old tights.
Oh my goodness.
That I wore a lot.
You save all your stuff.
I saved most of it. I have a friend that collects some of it, and he stores it. He's got like a little display room in his house too.
It's no secret, in the ring, you're very active, you're very agile, you're flexible, you're doing a lot of parkour. How did you land on the material that you wear? Because it has to be able to give. I
mean, I feel pretty much everybody in wrestling has some form of combo of spandex, lycra, pleather, spandex, lycra, something. Because if not, you can't stretch.
You have to be an athlete at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I do a lot of really, like a lot of kicks, a lot of stuff, a lot of springboards, but things that like require like a lot of stretch. And so landing on that material was a no-brainer, but this material in specific, I like because you're able to move, but like you're also able to make sounds.
I'm supposed to slap this?
Yep.
How did I do? Oh my gosh. Okay, I think we're good on that. I think we're I see what you mean. Are you wearing knee pads right now?
Yeah.
John is always ready to go. John is Johnning. John is wearing knee pads.
John is Johnning.
I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. You didn't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like, what if I have to kick that guy, or like ride Lorenzo, or?
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a fun exclusive clip. Okay. Reel me back.
I went too far once on a set of tights because I had asked for these like really kind of expensive studs that were elevated, and I remember I wrestled Ray, and at the end of the match, it was a short match. He took his mask off and showed me where the studs had cut his face.
Oh my gosh.
And very nicely pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey Johnny, you can't wear those tights again. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Ray is telling me.
I'm so sorry. Like, and I immediately like stopped doing that. And also it made me realize like, he's like the GOAT in terms of best person, best wrestler, best everybody, because there are a lot of people that would have had like a tantrum and yelled about it, but he just pulled me aside quietly and told me that these basically are round and this wouldn't cut you, but the ones I had, which were these big square things all over.
They're sharp on the edges.
Yeah, they're like, they would have been cool like for a concert, for a performance piece like that, but not for physical contact.
How has the process of the evolution and like the creation process really of how wrestling gear is made from where it was back then to where it is today, has it stayed the same or has it changed a little bit in your perspective, from your perspective?
First of all, I think this is still true. It takes longer to get a good pair of wrestling tights than it does to learn how to wrestle.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
It's really hard to find somebody good to make you a set of gear that you like, feel comfortable in, can move in, looks good, and is safe. Mm-hmm. That's an exaggeration, but it's really hard to find gear that fits you properly, especially because every piece is custom made.
Mm-hmm. And with that, have you seen almost an evolution of like the way that athletes and the way that wrestlers are creating their gear today versus where it was 10 years ago?
I've seen two. One, I've seen a lot of people go the route of like, I'm an MMA fighter, I'm a tough guy, I wear t-shirts, kick pads, and Speedos. And my character doesn't get kicked or taken down because I'm a fighter, which to me is bland. And then on the other side, I feel like there's people who are like, I'm a pro wrestler, and that means I have glasses or steampunk goggles and a bandana or a fedora, and then arm sleeves and sweatbands and headbands and knee pads and kick pads that say Japanese things or Russian things on this thing on the side, and some sort of boot or wrestling shoe, and maybe tassels on my quads, and either trunks or speedo, and you're like,
for what?
What is that? Like, who are you? What did you just raid someone's closet and put on everything you could as fast as you can? Like, people, I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too when I first started, experiment, but I think now because there's more wrestling on TV, the experimentation phase lasts longer, and no one is saying stuff that like maybe got said to wrestlers from my generation when we started, like, was that the only hat that they had in the store when you picked that hat? Did you buy that hat? Did you pay money for that hat? That hat is a hat that you picked? Hey everybody, look at that hat. John Morrison paid for that hat. How much you pay? Oh, you got ripped off. But like that kind of thing, it like doesn't really happen today, and that's a very mild version of the type of locker room banter that existed back then.
Let's go back to Johnny Nitro days. Okay?
Ooh, Johnny
Let's
Nitro.
Like revert, like we're going OG Johnny Nitro.
Nitro, N-I-T-R-O.
What
But you don't gotta axe because you already know.
What was some of your inspiration from the beginning of Johnny Nitro?
So Johnny Nitro,
Or did you have inspiration?
Johnny Nitro, I didn't expect to get called up to the main roster so quickly. Johnny Nitro was Eric Bischoff's apprentice.
Right.
And I didn't really know what I was doing in the ring yet. And I was just kind of there every week, learning from Eric and Bruce. And I started off as Johnny Blaze and introduced myself to Stone Cold Steve Austin as Johnny Blaze, which we quickly got a cease and desist for from Method Man and Ghost Rider because it's copyrighted. Then I was Johnny Spade, which I hated because there was a Johnny Spade already at OVW.
All right.
And when I got back to Louisville that week, he was all upset. And then I asked if I could please change my name to Johnny Nitro in honor of Eric Bischoff, which kind of made sense. And I still like Nitro. I still wish my name had never changed and just stayed Johnny Nitro.
You would want to be still like Johnny Nitro. Would it have stuck and you wouldn't have changed your essential, like...
I would have evolved my look, but I think it would have been cool to have one name my entire career instead of this confusing myriad of names.
Wow,
Big word. Johnny Nitro was really more of like a backstage lackey, and I ended up having only a few matches, and I came out to the WCW Nitro theme song, and
you were the brand.
They basically
Johnny the brand.
had me get these tights. These are the pink kick pads that went with the tights. I'm at OVW at this point for 6 months. I'm already called up. I was kind of freaked out, not ready, and
so it was just very Johnny Nitro before the
also
FCC and all the studs and rhinestones became.
This is also a thing where they told me, I think, the week before that I was going to have a match and I needed to have tights. And I had to call Mike Taylor, who's another wrestler who made tights, and like beg him to please make me a pair of Johnny Nitro tights this week because I need them for Raw. And you don't have really any other way of getting custom gear made.
You and The Miz were doing the dirt sheet. Who was styling you for the dirt sheet?
That was Jan, and basically my name was John Morrison because when I won the ECW title, Vince said he hated the name Johnny Nitro and I needed to pick a new name today, write down 10 names. And I did, and the first one was John Morrison. Because of Jim Morrison, and he just looked at my list at the top name, he was like, John Morrison, that's your name. And so basically I got really into Jim Morrison and started reading his poetry, listening to his songs, and I would ask Jan to style my hair like Jim Morrison, basically, kind of like Farrah Fawcett, like part it dry, like floof it, like do the internal curl deal. And I was like really digging that for a while.
Yeah.
I have actually one classic John Morrison piece that I got made.
This was dirt sheet days, right?
Yeah, I wore that on the dirt sheet. You can see me wearing it on the dirt sheet, that huge gaudy thing. I thought like this still is like a Chinese character that has multiple meanings, but one of them is like love, luck, hope, optimism, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
For all I know, it means I'm an asshole. That'd be funny.
You guys still had individual styles. How important was that to you, or was it not at all? Because you were a tag team in MNM, and then you.
It was a little important to me because nothing says you're an asshat like wearing a fedora, and I mean, Miz would probably admit that now, but he's come a long way. Individuality, I think we already had, just because even though we're friends, we're just very different people in general. The most important thing for me when we started teaming was chemistry, getting on the same page, and leveling him up, which he like really worked hard on his own. And we spent a lot of time in the ring together when we first started training together, and then working on tag team moves and our timing. So I felt like that was number one. I mean, you can have some tag teams where like both people are the same person, and then you can have an odd couple, and I'd say Miz and Morrison were more of an odd couple. But I was really into like that Morrison character at that point. That was like hi, I'm John Morrison, and one time after a 15-minute conversation, I convinced Madonna to speak with an English accent. Hi, I'm John Morrison, and one night I spent a night with Joan Rivers on a houseboat. Hi, I'm just, like that kind of stuff.
You could go on.
Yeah. But it was kind of like monotone, which worked well opposed to Mrs. Energy, which is really loud and high. So like
you complimented well.
Yeah, instead of like trying to top him or like fight for attention, I could just sit there like stoically and then say something
Totally.
smarter than whatever he was saying.
Well, when you came back to WWE, you were gone for quite a while. Did you ever think, like, oh, maybe I'll come up with a different look for this run because it's a totally different version of you then, years later?
That is something that I put a lot of thought into, and there was a couple of things to consider. One, I don't know if you know how much these fur coats cost, but after being gone from the WWE for a long time, like thinking about like, okay, I prepared to invest like $40,000 in like a whole new like look right away. Yes or no? I don't know. And also I thought if John Morrison is coming back to the WWE, I felt like the WWE would want to see John Morrison. I actually feel like I should have come back as a babyface instead of as a bad guy. Because at the beginning, for sure, I felt like we were fighting upstream a little bit. I mean, when I came out, even against New Day, I mean, they're clearly the crowd favorites, but I would still get like kind of like, just like they're excited to see this guy they haven't seen in 8 years. The in-ring style that I had, it had improved actually, because I'd been doing a lot of work in Mexico, Lucha Underground, Impact. Like I never stopped wrestling. If anything, like strangely, I think my skill set improved during that 8-year hiatus.
Sure.
Because I'm just really OCD about movement. I love it.
Of course.
And the difference would have been, instead of like, you know, making fun of New Day and Jeff Hardy, it would have just been making fun of bad guys. And would that have worked?
We don't know.
You'll never know.
Totally. And today, your pants are so elaborate. You're teaming with your wife, Taya Valkyrie, in AEW. What's changed in your look?
So
what
basically, this has evolved through a long time. Like this guy,
Hold us up so we can see.
this right here is like, I feel like skulls are overdone and hearts and crap. This is actually a deity in New Zealand that means good luck for mariners, which I thought was cool, because I was like, I don't want to have like some demon crap on my tights. And the fleur-de-lis is evolved into something that barely resembles the original fleur-de-lis.
Yeah, it's kind of became
This-
abstract.
Yeah, this like part here is kind of like a Triton to go along with the Mariner type deal.
They all kind of have like the same feel of that design.
So this is just this stage of the evolution of the gear, and they're gonna continue to evolve.
Sure. When you were on Survivor, you were wearing a leather jacket.
Yes.
How did that process go down?
I thought, oh, this is code. What do I wear? I shop at REI a lot. I wear synthetic socks and fleece. And then
Patagonia's your best friend.
yeah, I said stuff like that, like quick drying pants with stretch. And then eventually they told me, okay, you got us. We want you to wear the leather jacket that you wear on Lucha Underground. It's a brown leather jacket that I don't have anymore. We want you to wear blue jeans. And they just laid it out. And I was like, all right, fine. But when I got voted off the island, I didn't expect to be voted off, so I didn't take my jacket with me to that tribal council.
Okay.
And Davey, who voted me off, took the leather jacket and like spiked it and was like, that's right, Mayor of Slamtown, adios, I gotcha.
And so the jacket stayed.
Yeah, it's on Fiji. Like, we could probably go get it.
You couldn't have kept that thing, right? You would have had to.
It was
really,
destroyed. No, that jacket at that point, I'd worn 22 days in a row, slept in it. It would have been wet, dried. The paint had peeled off. It was pretty gross.
What is going on with you now? Like, we talked about the past, but what does your future hold? Obviously, Johnny.
Right now, I'm
thing.
at like a very good spot because I'm at AEW with my favorite human, Taya Valkyrie, and we're working on our show, Johnny Loves Taya, which is the first ever scripted pro wrestling rom-com. And I am very optimistic about where both of us are going to end up at AEW, and there's so much potential, so many opponents that I haven't wrestled and opponents that I have wrestled and really enjoy working with there. Same goes for her, that I believe the future holds good things.
For sure. Well, there's so much that we didn't
even gooder than good things.
There's so much that we didn't even get into today. That just means
Great.
we have to do
That's
another episode, right?
If we didn't, we could talk for another 5 hours.
Truly.
I could talk to myself for 5 hours.
Okay, well, this is where we're going to wrap it up. John, thanks. It's always great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a great time. I love coming to hang out with you guys here in Los Angeles, so thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, anytime.